The publication of the Donoughue report dominated the political horizon for much of last year. It led to the formation of the Greyhound Board of Great Britain, and last time on The Dogs we discussed with its chairman Maurice Watkins his vision for the future. Now it's the turn of Chief Executive Ian Taylor, who met with The Dogs producer Clive Lawrence recently.
Ian, what got you interested in the position in the first place?
As the challenge, it has to be the challenge. I'd love to sit here and say, well, the love of the dogs, and I'm becoming in love with the dogs. They're fabulous creatures, but actually it was a challenge of taking that Donoughue report, a template, an idea, someone's vision, and then trying to make reality out of it, but also with the pragmatism to say, can I help these people? Can I add some value at all? And I really believe I can, and that's why I took the position.
Donoughue led effectively to the amalgamation of the old NGRC and BGRB. The Greyhound Board has established itself in plush new offices in central London, a switch Taylor believes was essential.
The real strength of this business is in the people, and the real strength of the people you get and the quality of people you get and you retain is in the environment you make them work. So we put them in nice offices. Yes, they are nice offices, good value offices, but what we do is then we get real value out of those people, delivering back for the industry, and that's where I see. So no, we're not central London prices. We managed to negotiate an assignment on a lease, so we pay a very good rate, and we've got enough space here to accommodate our 20-odd sort of staff, but we've also got facilities here for not only board meetings, but also for things like for conferences, for seminar, for training for the industry, so we can actually add some value. So when people say I need to hire a room in London so that the trainers can meet or the vets can meet, no, they don't need to hire a room. I've got a room available for them, and it'll be free of charge to stakeholders.
The current financial climate is a tough one, but Greyhound tracks are holding their own in comparison to other leisure businesses. Taylor believes the industry is as well equipped as any to withstand the downturn, but needs to address change where necessary.
The entertainment business, the sports business, the leisure business has changed, and we as Greyhound Racing now have to change with it and get ahead of the race, and I think some of our numbers are great. What other sport can get the sort of number of spectators that we can get? I was with some cricket people last night. They're very envious. You know, there are 5-6 times more people go to ground racing than go to watch cricket matches. Would you know it by the coverage and exposure those sports get? No, you wouldn't. So I think Greyhound Racing has changed. I think the product's changed. I think some of the people are changing. But the sport is a sport which is a love of greyhounds and a love of the excitement of seeing them race around a track.
However, the pressure is on. The iconic Walthamstow Stadium closed last year, so too Reading, and there is a suggestion they might not be the last to go, with other promoters fighting off the threat of property developers.
The footprint of any sporting facility, a football stadium, a rugby stadium, a greyhound track, is quite sensitive commercially. Not many football clubs, once you take the Emirates out of it, once you take the Manchester United out, not many football clubs could afford to buy and build a new stadium unless you do it through some sort of planning gain with retail, with commerce, with other leisure facilities. The business itself just doesn't pay. The question is whether Greyhound Racing has got to consider some of those options as an alternative. How can we leverage off that ground value in terms of other sales at other times? And secondly, we've got to make sure that if we are going to lose Greyhound Stadium because they're in prime brownfield site locations for development, that we make it into a planning gain issue, as football clubs have done, as rugby clubs have done, is they've gone to the local council and said, look, as John Medeski did at Reading, we're London Irish, I was CEO at London Irish for 4 years, John Medeski said, you need this bit of land in the middle of Reading by the railway station, you can have it, but please give me 127 acres out at Green Park out on the outskirts, which he financed the whole building of Medeski Stadium. He built a development park out of that planning gain. And perhaps if we're going to go down the road where land prices are sensitive, we as the Greyhound Board have got to be involved in the whole process as opposed to leaving it to the individual owner.
Taylor describes himself as hands-on and wants to be involved, consulted and informed of promoters' decisions.
If one was going to take anything out of the Donoughue report, it's the isolation and the individualisation historically of the industry to say, well, you don't do that, so you shouldn't get involved. Well, of course I should get involved. If it's for the benefit of greyhound racing, I should be involved with the RCPA and its members in ensuring its longevity and its growth. And if we decide that we want 40 tracks, not 28, strategically, or if we decide we want 20 tracks, not 28, that should be a joint decision. It shouldn't be made in an ad hoc way. And therefore, Why shouldn't I be? Why shouldn't I have a capital resources fund? I have to generate that money first. I don't take from the industry to give to the industry. But why shouldn't we have a capital facilities fund? Most other sports governing bodies do have capital facilities, whether it's the RFU and the PRL to rugby union clubs. The FA through the Football Trust and the Football Foundation have done it for years. And the horse racing obviously has capital investment funds. And maybe we need to develop some, but that's not this week's question, solution or problem.
So perhaps the only way to go is the way the Irish have gone, which is to own their own tracks, or the majority of their own tracks.
I can't say it's the only way. I say it's a possible alternative, but undoubtedly it's an alternative solution. But I think, first of all, the industry's got to be given a chance to work in harmony, if that's possible, together to some mutual objectives, and to see if it's sustainable in its own right, and if we can work with the RCPA to develop a joint plan and strategy.
Prize money, or rather the lack of it, remains a bugbear for owners and trainers. This is Taylor's view.
Our allocation of prize money is, in some cases, well less than 20% of the total prize money, and therefore cause and effect. Does me making an increase of 5p or 50p, does that make any significant difference to anybody's income level? Probably not. And more importantly, does it make any significant input or output to what we're getting from it? Better dogs, faster dogs, fitter dogs, healthier dogs, dogs running more consistently. I can't see any benefits there, and therefore prize money is essential. It's part of the supply chain, but it's not the mecca that some people believe it is. Every message I get from Ireland is they've retained a consistent level of reduced prize money because their priority has been investment, and that's investment either in facilities or investment in support, but it hasn't been by increasing year-on-year prize money. And again, although they've again had some significant reductions, they have had to say, no, there's no increase in prize money.
But of course, that's the other contentious issue. Of course, the Irish will invest because they're buying the tracks that they're going to run themselves. The capital grants issues for the last few years, where money's been given to tracks to increase their restaurant facilities and toilets and turnstiles and whatever. There's a lot of people saying they should never be given that money, it should be loaned to them.
I think, again, there are many ways you can deal with capital facilities development, and I think loans sounds very sensible. It's also, the problem with loans is you suddenly incur all sort of tax obligations and liabilities, and I'm sure there are other ways to do it. But I very much believe that the Greyhound Board, if it has a resource, should be investing in the development of facilities and bringing people up standards across the piece. And I'm not just talking about the experience for the customer, but I mean the experience for the dog, the experience for the trainer, the experience for those people working in that industry, that they're training, their education. So we should be investing in it, absolutely we should, but we should be in control of the outcomes. What we don't want to be doing is investing in something that, as you demonstrate, could become a supermarket 2 years later on.
If there are 3 words you put on the flip chart for the way forward for greyhound racing, what would they be?
Together, undoubtedly, committed and passionate.